5. Fear of vulnerability. When "I'm sorry" feels too unsafe. At the heart of many non-apologies lies a profound fear of vulnerability. To apologize is to drop your guard, even if just for a moment. It's an act of saying, "I was wrong, I hurt you, and I'm willing to make myself a little vulnerable by admitting that." For someone who fears being vulnerable, those words can be the scariest thing in the world. Some women have learned through life that vulnerability leads to pain or loss of control. They might be more comfortable with anger, distance, or stoic silence than with emotional openness. Staying a bit distant or defensive gives them a sense of control, whereas apologizing would require them to step into a place of uncertainty and humility. In a way, refusing to apologize is like holding onto a shield. As long as she doesn't say, "I'm sorry," she hasn't let go of that protective armor. She might associate apologizing with experiences of being humiliated or having her emotions trampled in the past. For example, if a previous partner betrayed her trust after she admitted fault, she may have unconsciously vowed, "Never again will I let someone see me weak." Dr. Winch's research described how non-apologists experience emotional closeness and vulnerability as extremely threatening. They fear that if they lower their guard even slightly, all their pent-up sadness or insecurities will come flooding out uncontrollably. Imagine someone who has been holding back tears for years, maybe holding back trauma, past heartbreak, feelings of inadequacy, and they worry that one sincere, "I'm sorry," will break the dam inside them. They're scared that once they start acknowledging faults or emotional truths, they won't be able to stop the torrent of feeling. This is often not true in reality. In fact, genuine apology and forgiveness can be relieving, but the fear is powerful. So, they keep the floodgates shut. An apology might seem like a small crack, but to them, it threatens to burst the whole dam. Let's think of Erica, who has a hard shell. In her relationship with James, anytime a serious conflict arises, Erica seems oddly cold. She won't apologize. She might even go to another room and withdraw. James once told me, it's like she doesn't care at all. But in therapy, as Erica slowly opened up, it became clear she cared a lot, so much that it scared her. She admitted that if she apologized and made herself vulnerable, she feared James would use it against her, or that she'd just break down entirely, revealing how deeply insecure she felt underneath. For Erica, vulnerability equaled powerlessness. Her mother had been very harsh and unloving whenever Erica showed contrition or soft emotion, so she learned to present a tough front. Apologizing to James felt as if she'd be handing him a knife and baring her chest. Who would do that willingly? Better to keep the distance, even if it meant a colder relationship, than to risk that kind of hurt. Power dynamics tie in here too. If a woman feels the relationship is a power tug-of-war, withholding apologies can be a way, conscious or not, to avoid conceding power. She might think, the moment I say I'm sorry, he's won, and I've lost. Especially in relationships where there's been a history of struggles for control or respect, an apology might feel like capitulation. This fear can be heightened if the man has, in anger, demanded apologies in a punitive way. E.g., "You better apologize right now." In such cases, even if she knows she was wrong, she might refuse purely because being forced feels humiliating. She'd rather stick it out and not give the satisfaction, because choosing not to apologize feels like retaining a shred of control. However, beneath that stubborn exterior is often someone who craves love and acceptance, but doesn't know how to bridge the gap. The tragic irony is that refusing vulnerability, like a heartfelt apology, keeps real intimacy away. It's like dying of thirst while guarding a well. She's so busy protecting herself that she can't let the healing waters of closeness in, even though both of you thirst for a deeper connection. If your partner has this deep vulnerability fear, you might notice she also struggles with other forms of openness, not just apologizing, but maybe having serious, heart-to-heart talks, admitting to insecurities, or initiating affection unless you do it first. These can be clues that it's not about not loving you, but about not feeling safe emotionally. She may love you dearly, yet still have this internal block that keeps her from fully submitting to the vulnerability that love sometimes requires. Like admitting, "I caused you pain." It's sad, because if only she could see it, lowering that shield and saying sorry when warranted would likely make you love and respect her even more. And it would likely make her feel more loved and secure too, as she sees forgiveness and acceptance on the other side of that fear. Part of the hidden truth is that she is cheating herself out of deeper intimacy by hanging on to control so tightly. So where does that leave you, the man listening to this? If you sense your partner's non-apologies come from this fear of vulnerability, one of the most helpful things you can do is create as much emotional safety as possible. We'll delve into advice soon, but just know that consistent, calm, understanding responses from you can gradually reassure her that opening up won't be a death sentence. It takes time, and it's ultimately on her to take that leap. But your patience and empathy set the stage. She needs to experience that being vulnerable, like apologizing, will not lead to you pouncing on her or belittling her, but rather to resolution and closeness. That experience, repeated over time, can rewire those old fears. Keep this in mind as we move toward how you can cope with and possibly improve the situation. 6. Resentment and relationship imbalance, when apologies become a battleground. Lastly, we must consider a more situational factor: the state of your relationship and any brewing resentments on her side. Sometimes, a woman's refusal to apologize in a particular instance isn't solely about that incident or her psychological makeup. It's tied to a larger pattern between you two. If she feels chronically unheard, blamed, or frustrated about things you might be doing, she may dig her heels in on apologizing as a way to resist what she perceives as an unfair dynamic. This can manifest as scorekeeping. Why should I apologize this time when I feel like I'm always the one compromising? He never says sorry for the things that I find hurtful. It's possible your partner has a list of grievances, spoken or unspoken, where she feels you haven't adequately taken accountability. Now, this isn't to place blame on you, but in any relationship, both sides usually have some complaints. If her complaints haven't been validated, she may be less inclined to give you the validation of an apology. In her mind, you already have the upper hand. Perhaps you win more arguments, or you're more stubborn in your own ways. So her refusal to apologize is a form of pushback, a way to level the playing field emotionally. Picture Jay and Vanessa. Jay tells Vanessa she needs to apologize for disrespecting him in front of his friends. Vanessa bristles and refuses. Is it because she doesn't love Jay or can't admit any fault? Not exactly. In truth, Vanessa has been feeling disrespected by Jay for months. He often makes jokes at her expense or dismisses her opinions. She's been silently resentful. When Jay confronts her about this latest incident, all that pent-up resentment hardens inside her. She thinks, "Oh, so now it's a big deal to embarrass someone? You do this to me all the time and never say sorry." So instead of apologizing, she retaliates. "No, I'm not apologizing. Maybe you should apologize to me for once." The fight escalates, and nothing gets resolved. Vanessa's refusal here is fueled by her feeling of imbalance. She's tired of feeling like the only one at fault. This is a case where couples end up in a stalemate because both feel wronged, and neither wants to budge first. Another angle is fatigue and principle. Some women, especially those who identify as people pleasers or who used to over-apologize, reach a breaking point. Perhaps earlier in life, she apologized constantly, even when she wasn't at fault, just to keep peace. At some point, she realized this was unfair and built up a new principle. I'm done saying sorry when I'm not truly the only one wrong. This can overshoot to never saying sorry, as an overcorrection of past tendencies. If your partner has a history of being a peacemaker or feeling walked on, her refusal now might be her way of asserting herself. Unfortunately, it may be misdirected or applied too generally, hurting you in cases where she actually did wrong you. It's like someone who was always told to bow her head now holds it so high that she can't nod even when nodding is appropriate. Resentment is often called relationship cancer for good reason. It erodes empathy. When someone is resentful, they have a hard time caring about their partner's feelings. They're too wounded protecting their own. If your partner resents you, whether due to past events, ongoing issues, or even external stress that she unfairly projects onto you, her heart hardens. An apology is a gift of care, and she's simply not in a giving mood toward you in that state. She might secretly think you haven't earned an apology because of XYZ that she's upset about. It's crucial to identify if this is part of your situation. Do your conflicts often feel like they're about more than just the surface issue? Does she sometimes bring up old grievances in the middle of a new argument? This is just like when you did. Those are signs that unaddressed resentment is lurking. She might feel it's always her fault in your eyes, or conversely, that you never take blame for your faults, leading her to a stance of, "Why should I give an inch?" As Dr. Rodman notes, many women in counseling will initially only engage if the focus is on the man's issues. and shut down the moment the spotlight is on them. This isn't because women are inherently more difficult. It's because by the time they reach that point, they often feel incredibly defensive and under-acknowledged. They fear being piled on with blame, sometimes due to insecurity as covered, but sometimes due to very real relational patterns. If resentment and imbalance are at play, the solution usually must involve both partners acknowledging each other's feelings and contributions, not just one person groveling. She needs to feel heard too. Now, it's possible that from your perspective, you do apologize and she doesn't, period. If truly one-sided, then the earlier reasons, insecurity, shame, etc., are likely the primary drivers. But if you reflect and realize maybe your apologies have been lacking, or her grievances haven't been validated, addressing that could soften her stance. People are much more willing to apologize when they feel it's a two-way street of respect. We've unpacked a lot, from deep-seated insecurities and shame, to mismatched conflict styles, to cultural conditioning, to psychological defenses, to power struggles and resentment. It's a complex, messy picture, which is why it's the hidden truth and not obvious on the surface. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, I understand why it might be happening, but what am I supposed to do with this knowledge? I'm still hurt, and I still feel it's unfair. Those feelings are completely valid. Understanding her behavior doesn't magically remove your pain. You deserve emotional balance and accountability in your relationship. So in our final section, let's turn toward what you can do, how you might approach this problem in a constructive, self-respecting way. Moving forward, healing, communication, and empowering advice for you. By now you have a clearer view of the hidden psychological landscape behind a woman's reluctance to apologize. It's a landscape filled with landmines of shame, steep hills of pride, and walls of defensiveness. But knowing the terrain is the first step in navigating it. Now, let's talk about practical steps and empowering mindsets for you, the man who's been on the receiving end of those non-apologies. How can you cope with the hurt, encourage healthier dynamics, and ensure your own needs are met? Below are some strategies and pieces of advice that can help you move forward, whether that means improving the relationship you're in or making tough decisions about it. 1. Don't internalize the blame. Her inability to apologize is not a reflection of your worth. It's easy to start feeling like you must be asking too much, or that your feelings are not important. Remind yourself, often, that you deserve respect and acknowledgement in a relationship. Her refusal to say sorry does not mean your hurt is invalid. It usually means she is grappling with her own issues, as we've discussed at length. Try not to let her defensiveness turn into you doubting your own reality. As one expert put it, men who understand the roots of this issue in their partner can deal with it with less resentment. So, hold on to that understanding. It's her difficulty, not because you're overly sensitive or unworthy of an apology. Maintaining your self-esteem is crucial. You might even say to yourself, as an affirmation, "My feelings matter, and it's reasonable to expect an apology when I'm hurt." You can acknowledge her struggles while still affirming that your need for respect is valid. 2. Choose timing and approach wisely. Addressing the lack of apology in the heat of an argument is often futile. Her defenses are highest then. Instead, look for calm moments to communicate. Approach the topic gently, not in an accusatory way. For example, during a peaceful time, say, "Can I talk to you about something that's been hurting me?" When we have a conflict and I don't hear an apology or acknowledgement, I start to feel really distant from you. I love you and I want us to be close. I'm not trying to blame. I just want you to understand how it feels for me. This kind of I statement, focus on your feelings, can be less triggering for her than, "You never apologize." It's important she doesn't feel ambushed or attacked. Otherwise, you'll trigger all those shame and defense mechanisms again. Encourage her to share her perspective too. Maybe ask, "Do you find it hard to apologize? I honestly want to know what it's like for you." If she opens up at all, listen without jumping in. Creating a safe space for this conversation is key, one where she doesn't immediately feel she's on trial. 3. Express why apologies matter to you. Sometimes, our partners truly don't grasp the impact of their actions until we spell it out calmly. Explain to her that an apology isn't about groveling or losing. It's about feeling valued and moving forward. You might say, "When you apologize, it lets me know you care about my feelings and that we're a team. It's not about assigning blame, it's about connection. It really would mean a lot to me, more than any other gesture." Some women are genuinely surprised to learn just how much men value a simple, "I'm sorry," in relationships. In fact, one man shared that when his wife finally gave him a sincere apology after a long time, he felt an immense relief. He had been waiting for it forever, and it healed a wound he'd been carrying. If your partner can understand that her apology is a balm for your heart, and not just a self-incriminating act, she may be more inclined to try. Frame it as something that helps you trust and love her even more, which it is. Sometimes hearing that directly can motivate a change, especially if she does love you and wasn't fully aware of the weight of this issue. 4. Model the behavior you want to see. This is important. Make sure you are holding yourself to the same standard. Reflect honestly. Do you apologize when you're wrong? And do you do it sincerely, without prompting? If you realize that you too struggle with apologizing or tend to justify your mistakes, work on that. Show her what a good apology looks like. That means no, "I'm sorry, but you made me do it." Just a plain, accountable, "I'm sorry I hurt you. It was my fault." When she sees you do this consistently, two things happen. First, you're proving that apologizing isn't fatal. The apologizer doesn't lose power in the relationship. Second, you set a kind of emotional norm. As relationship coach Tim Matthews noted, modeling apologetic behavior can encourage reciprocity. It's harder for someone to never apologize if their partner regularly and openly does so. It starts to feel lopsided even to them. Also, check how you apologize. Dr. Rodman pointed out that if you say "sorry" in a sulky or resentful way, it might not actually register as a genuine admission, and it keeps the cycle of defensiveness going. So be genuine. Not only does this give her a positive example, it also gives you moral clarity. You know you're walking the talk, which puts you on higher ground when addressing her behavior. 5. Reinforce and acknowledge any positive change. If your partner does make even a small step, say she offers a partial apology or shows some accountability where she didn't before, recognize it and appreciate it. Positive reinforcement isn't just for training pets. It works in relationships too. For instance, imagine after a long stalemate, she finally says, "Okay, I'm sorry I yelled at you last night," instead of responding with, "Yeah, you should be," which might shut her down. Take a different tack. You might gently reply, "Thank you for saying that. It means a lot to me, and I forgive you." By doing so, you're showing her that apologizing leads to reconciliation and warmth, not further conflict or gloating. She's essentially testing the waters of vulnerability. Show her that the water's warm and safe. This will increase the likelihood that she'll apologize the next time. It can also help to notice other forms of effort. Maybe she didn't say the words, "I'm sorry," but she admitted, "I guess I was wrong about that." That's progress. You can respond, "I really respect you for acknowledging that." When positive behavior is tied to positive outcomes, more affection, more respect, a quicker end to arguments, she'll start seeing apologies not as traps, but as tools for a happier relationship. 6. Set boundaries on disrespect. Understanding and empathy are vital, but don't let understanding turn you into a doormat. There's a line between a partner who struggles to apologize, yet is willing to work on things, and a partner who consistently disrespects you and refuses any accountability, ever. If your partner crosses into emotionally abusive territory, like calling you names, gaslighting you, "You're crazy, I have nothing to apologize for," or flipping every issue to be your fault, you need to stand firm. You might calmly say, "I'm willing to discuss issues, but I won't accept being insulted or having my feelings dismissed." If she refuses to work on controlling her anger or continues to berate you, it may be time to insist on couples counseling or other intervention. In some cases, women, or men, who can never admit fault, may have deeper personality issues that require professional help. If she utterly refuses to acknowledge major wrongdoings, and it's causing you significant pain, you might have to reconsider the future of the relationship. That's a hard truth, but you cannot single-handedly fix someone's deep-seated issues. You can encourage and support, but ultimately she has to be willing to grow. Know your limits. You have the right to a relationship where your voice is heard and your feelings respected. No amount of empathy for her past or psyche justifies being stuck in a cycle of blame and denial forever. 7. Pick your battles and practice forgiveness when appropriate. If you've weighed the situation and it's mostly minor things she won't apologize for, ask yourself how much they truly matter in the big picture. Dr. Rodman suggests interrogating why certain issues bug you so much. Sometimes a small slight, like forgetting to take out the trash, becomes a huge deal only because it symbolizes larger frustrations. If that's the case, address the bigger picture, e.g. feeling underappreciated, not just the micro event of the week. On the other hand, if she does make an effort in other ways, maybe she shows love through actions if not words. Acknowledge that. It might help to notice if she has her own language of making amends, as unspoken as it may be. This is tricky because no, a back rub isn't the same as an apology, but understanding that she is trying to heal the rift, just not verbally, can soften your resentment. In some instances, you might choose to forgive even without an apology, for your own peace. This doesn't mean you're letting her off the hook completely. It means you decide not to carry anger in your heart over smaller things. Instead, focus on slowly improving communication for the bigger things. Essentially, be strategic. Save your serious sit-down discussions and boundary setting for the issues that truly affect the trust and health of your relationship. If every single misstep becomes a battleground for an apology, neither of you will have energy left. Sometimes being the bigger person in the short term, letting a minor thing go, can be an investment in the long-term atmosphere of the relationship. 8. Encourage professional help if needed. If you suspect your partner's inability to apologize is tied to deeper issues like past trauma, depression, or personality disorder tendencies, for example, the borderline tendencies we touched on, where fear of abandonment fuels extreme defensiveness, then encourage her to seek therapy, perhaps together. Be gentle in how you suggest it. Frame it as couples counseling to improve communication for both of you, not, "You need therapy, you're messed up." Be prepared though, as noted earlier. Individuals who are highly defensive often resist therapy, or only want to go if the spotlight isn't on them. It may take some convincing, and she has to be ready to change. If she does agree to get help, celebrate that. And if not, you still have the option to get support for yourself. A therapist can help you navigate how to respond to your partner's behavior, set boundaries, and decide what you truly need. Your well-being matters, and talking to a professional can give you clarity and strength, especially if you're feeling very alone in this. In closing, remember that relationships are not static. The dynamic you have today can evolve. Many couples have faced this exact impasse and come out stronger on the other side. It requires patience, honest communication, and often a lot of empathy from both sides. But imagine what it would feel like the next time something goes wrong, to hear your partner say, "I'm really sorry. I see that I hurt you. Let's work on this." And to feel her mean it. That moment is possible. I've seen couples get there, sometimes after years of stalemate. It starts with understanding, which hopefully you now have a lot more of, and continues with consistent, compassionate effort. Ultimately, whether your partner changes or not, you have grown by seeking knowledge and handling this challenge thoughtfully. You've taken a deep dive into the psyche behind the lack of apologies, and that alone can shift how you feel. Instead of just feeling angry, you might also feel a bit of compassion for the scared or hurt part of her that's driving this behavior. Compassion doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it can replace some bitterness with empathy, which in turn helps you communicate from a better place. And if you communicate better, she may eventually feel safer to change. No matter what, hold on to your self-respect. You've been patient and caring, but you also deserve a partner who can meet you halfway. The hidden truth about why some women refuse to apologize is now less of a mystery. It's a mix of personal wounds, different conflict perceptions, social baggage, and pride. It's not because you're not worth an apology. You are. As you move forward, keep that knowledge close to your heart. Use it to inform your actions, to open new dialogues, or to make hard choices if you must. And hopefully, one day, you'll hear those words from her sincerely. "I'm sorry." And it will feel not like defeat for her, but like a victory for both of you. In the meantime, take care of yourself, stay true to what you need, and continue to strive for the respect and emotional balance you deserve in your relationship. You're not alone on this journey, and brighter, more honest days can be ahead.